These days, we are talking a lot about robots. But what does it actually look like when you live and work with one every day? Waking up with a humanoid machine next to you? Sharing your routines and space with a robot? I'll be honest, I had no idea what that meant until I met Emily and her robot, Tova. Emily is one of the most vibrant thinkers I know. She studied at Columbia and Harvard. She worked at Google Arts and Culture. And for research, she is sharing her flat with her robot, Tova. In her talk, she will show why the future of robotics isn't about copying human skills, but more about completing us. So please give a big, big, big hand, where is she, to Emily and her robot, Tova. I think we have to applaud bigger, bigger, brighter.
Having us today. This is Tova, the robot that I live with at home. It's joined us today so that I can talk to you a little bit about what it is that I do. I'm going to have it stand right over here during the talk and exchange this lovely device for this one so I can join you. Have we got speaker notes on here at all? Oh, no. Fair enough. Okay. So they gave me, a very specific time to go on stage today, which was 10:28. I think we're doing well with that, which means that right now in London, it is 9:28. But why? Britain adopted GMT in 1847, and they formally legislated it in 1880. Now, this decision wasn't born from some overarching philosophical discussion about the concept of time and location, right? This was simply down to practicality. You see, we needed to know when trains would be arriving and departing at any station along expansive railroad routes. And this need rendered our local solar times too imprecise and necessitated our modern-day concept of time zones. I'm a historian, and I'm fascinated by the factors that shape progress surrounding technology. From steam power to the telephone to the internet, we can track the intertwined development of society and technology as each new innovative leap is made. The innovation of our generation, in my opinion, is AI. Analyzing how AI will both fit into and shape our world is a fascinating topic that, more often than not, is sensationalized with these huge promises or catastrophized with disaster. But in a world that is just screaming for you to think big in order to discuss the future, as a historian today, I'm going to ask you to think small. Our future with AI and robotics won't only be decided by these large, sweeping philosophical discussions that we're having here today, but through practicality, through the answering of thousands of practical questions that arise from the very simple minutiae of sharing everyday life. I have embarked upon a project to figure out exactly what those thousands of practical questions really are. You see, I've spent the greater part of this past year living alongside this AI humanoid robot. I began this research project because I already had all of these questions stashed away in my mind of my own, right? My first question, how would my dog act around a humanoid robot, right? How would the robot handle a house full of really delicate antiques? With factories around the world working hard to get domestic AI robotics to market and these engaging viral videos on your phone showcasing all the things that they can do and piquing interest in millions of people around the world, I felt that as a historian, living openly and thoughtfully with a humanoid robot, that I could help provide a glimpse into what the future could look like, experiment with respectful community standards for the world around me, and just really see what life could be like. So this is a Unitree G1 EDU2. It's got 3D LiDAR scanning, it's got a depth camera, a microphone array to enjoy Ben, its large language model, and AI-powered movement and stability capabilities. To me and my friends, though, this is Tova, the robot that we live with, that I live with at home. Every day with Tova is absolutely jam-packed with issues, practical issues that need answers, right? So I'm here to share with you 5 practical lessons that I've learned as a historian living with a robot, and how those lessons learned at my house connect to society's future. So lesson 1 is that you have to robot-proof your home. So I mentioned that Tova over here is actually equipped with this LiDAR scanner. And with that piece of hardware comes a wonderful piece of software that's called obstacle avoidance. And it sounds fantastic. However, Tova walks and runs, and Tova gestures. And unfortunately for me, I give you a preview of some of these gestures. Unfortunately for me, with some of these gestures, it knocks into things in my house, right? So it will gesture and it will knock over a vase, or a teacup, or a wine glass. And so I decided that I needed to increase my home insurance, my personal liability insurance, if it's going to be knocking things over, if it's going to be walking and still moving, that I need to protect myself. So it started simple enough. I called up the insurance company and I say, I need to increase my current plan. And they said, okay, wonderful, no problem. What changed? And I said, I had someone move in with me. And I'm trying to think, how do I navigate this? What do I say? And they say, okay, you had someone move in, who? And I said, well, a new roommate. Can I please increase my policy? And they pressed and pressed, and finally I say, okay, it's an AI humanoid robot. They hung up on me. They thought I was pranking them, and they hung up on me. Even after I called back, they had no insurance policy that was going to cover this. But autonomous robotics liability and insurance coverage is a field where practicality and immersion will create precedence on any number of interesting questions, right? We need answers to questions like, if I own this robot, and the company programmed the robot, and I give the controller to my friend to operate the robot, and it knocks over a priceless vase, who's responsible? I understand that these are, here are my speaker notes. I understand that these are not really the exciting sci-fi debates that we wanted to be having, but these are the actual types of questions that demand answers the moment one of these robots comes into your home. So next up is that transit with a robot is rough. So I had the wonderful honor of introducing Tova to Vienna, where I live, on an Austrian morning show on national television. And something to keep in mind about these is that they film all the way on the outskirts of town in the wee hours of the morning. And Tova travels like this. Some of you have seen this, in a giant black case, sort of doing a Pilates move, right? And Tova is 60 kilos, very, very heavy. You can kind of hear it when it walks around and it stomps around a little bit. You can hear kind of how heavy it is. Thanks to the shoes, it's a little more understandable. So, basically, I call a cab. And I ask the driver, can you help me put this giant black case into the back of the van? And the driver's already looking at me a little funny. It's 4 a.m. The destination is this weird destination all the way on the outskirts of town. But reluctantly, he comes around the back, and he leans down to actually grab one of the handles. The second he feels how heavy it is, he looks at me, drops it, and says, there's a body in there. There's a dead body in there. Get out. I'm not driving you. There's a dead body. I say, it's a body, but it's a humanoid robot body. I promise I'm not doing anything wrong. I open the case like this. He drives me to the show. But this concept of autonomous robotics, transport regulations, this is a very interesting one because it gets expensive, right? Calling these vans, these bigger cars, to move the robot this way. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, the robot has 2 legs. It can sit down. Why doesn't it just take the tram with me? Okay, if it takes the tram and it sits down, it's probably going to need a ticket, is what I'm thinking. So what do? I ask the tram company if I can buy an annual card for my robot. I send in a photo, I request, I send in a money order, I say, please let me buy a transit ticket, an annual ticket for this robot. They very cleverly come back to me and say, any inquiries about an annual card need to be accompanied by the registration papers of the resident. Okay, registration papers. I don't have that, right? So what do? I go to the police station, and I say, I need to register a new resident of Vienna in my house. They say, okay, who? And I say, oh, this humanoid robot right here behind me. Of course, they kick me out. And that's fine. They have every right to kick me out and not want to do this. But it provides these really interesting looks into the gaps in regulation, right? If these robots are going to be helping us manage our homes and our lives, this innately comes with them occasionally venturing outside, right? Are they going with us somewhere and they're going to actually be carrying something for us? Are they going to run out when we're in the middle of a recipe and we forget an ingredient and go to the market for us? We need to find a way for them to move around the city that makes sense for the robots, the owners, the people who don't have robots in the city, and the city itself. I'm going to show you what it looks like for some of my friends to try to be helping me with these giant black cases over here. So the next lesson, lesson 3, is that robots are not always welcome. So of course, I have friends who beg me, Emily, I'm having a party this weekend. I want the robot at the party. Please bring it. It can serve drinks. It'll be so cool. It can dance with us. It can't do any of that, by the way. And I also have colleagues who will just let me know that, like, this is not the day to bring it. They don't want me to bring it in that day, and that's completely fine. So I respect that there are certain rules and regulations that have seemed to develop naturally surrounding where the robot's welcome and where it's not. And although these are completely informal, I respect them. But what happens when it's not one robot, but it's thousands of robots or millions of robots that are being shipped all over the world to different communities with different sensibilities, right? So we need to find a way to actually regulate these restrictions and where the robots are going to be welcome and where they're not. And this could take any number of different formats, right? This could look like robot zones and no-go zones. You see, I've made a little mock-up for Vienna, and this can tell us where they're welcome and where they're not. Or this could look like the icons in the window of a supermarket that tell you that your dog isn't allowed in the supermarket and be decided upon as a policy of each building or business. Or this could look like robotic identification cards, right? With individualized permissions, including where they can go and what they can do. And I think I'm being played off. Or you can send your robot to work. And so this brings up the concept of AI labor displacement. I'll go quick through these last two. Of AI labor displacement, and really draws all of these interesting questions that we need to be asking ourselves surrounding taxation, right? Are we trying to tax the robot itself? Are we trying to tax the value added? Are we trying to actually put those funds into our current social systems or develop UBI? And the last one being that robots bring out the best and the worst in us, and you can come find me after if you'd like to learn more about that. Thank you. It's a quick one. Thank you so much, Franziska.
Thank you, dear Emily. She is the coolest.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tova. So everyone loves Tova, right? Give a big hand to Tova again. And saying goodbye to you now. Will he find his way?